We had some technical difficulties this morning. I was doing a members reading. Anyway, I've got a new phone. It took me a hell of a long time to get it set up. And then I couldn't get it to attach to YouTube. Anyway, I was going nuts. And I called up my support team. They came by. They got it sorted out in a matter of minutes. I'd been trying to figure it out for hours. And they really are a support team. They're also an emotional support team. So I get IT help, and I get just warmth and sweetness and no shaming over the fact that I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to the kind of bare bones of the technical side of things. So I think that what we're dealing with here is that idea of a support team and a spiritual support team, as well as in 3D and in 5D. Because there's the two meet. And I see the spiritual support team in 5D as being comprised of, everybody you've ever loved or tried to love. And likewise, anybody who's ever loved you or tried to love you. And then it kind of goes out from there like ripples. If you throw the stone in the pond and there are ripples, it goes out to people you don't know, people who are unloved, people who feel like they're broken when it comes to love. Because you give and receive the support. 3D, 5D. Everyone you've ever loved or tried to love. Wow, 8 of Swords. And somehow couldn't. That's the tried to. 8 of Swords is being trapped or, held back by your mind or by your perception of yourself or other people's perception of you. The person here is not tied up. The reflection in the mirror, that image, is tied up. It could be like thinking badly about yourself or having... Rue's here licking my lunch plate. We're going to let her. And the crows are coming to try to undo this person. I think that's the ancestral support team. Crows can be like a totem animal or can represent the ancestors, the spirit world. They're trying to disentangle you from some mindset or disentangle somebody. Something that keeps them bound and blindfolded, keeps them from understanding or being able to perceive with clarity those sword attributes. This person may have thought they were unlovable. Okay, 9 of Pentacles. We had that in the members reading. That's the secure individual. Somebody who knows themselves, is comfortable with themselves, has built up a support system. They might have an emotional support team to help them with things like this. But they're also good on their own. Able to give support to other people. Pentacles can speak to, sharing and giving and stability. In 3D. This is really up in the head energy. It could be you're helping to ground somebody who has a bad idea of themselves, who doesn't feel secure. Something reflects badly on them. Star. Card of Aquarius, sword energy, and a card of healing. Connection to the divine. You know, in this mode, it's hard to feel or to see that you are, or to perceive that you are connected to the divine. In this mode, not so hard. On the face of it, in 3D, there's a connection. There's growth, there's stability. There's a connection. This speaks to the individual as a 9 card. That's sort of the individual card who's good on their own. And this can speak to the collective in air energy. And it might be that somebody thinks, sword energy, they're not a part of the collective. That they're by themselves, and not in this positive way. They're somehow caged up, cut off from their own self-confidence, their own best expression of themselves. But they're not. There really is a connection to higher power, to the collective, to the guides, to the spirit team. Tell us about the spirit team, please. Spirit, tell us about your team. Ooh la la. Under 8 of Swords, Devil card. That's an earth energy, like 9 of Pentacles. And I see it as a card of working hard, Capricorn energy, to free yourself from what holds you back, what binds you. What binds you? A bad idea of yourself? You know, insecurity? This is security. This is kind of the mental cage. This is shadow energy. You know, this is a little bit like the shadow, the reflection. Because it's a false image. The devil can speak to manipulation. It can mean so many things. But I think here there's an effort to free oneself from what holds us back, these chains that bind, and enter into a stable, secure earth energy. You know, the positive aspect of Capricorn. And here, the person is connected to the puppet strings, something that holds them back. Here, the person is connected to the star, something that guides them toward their divine nature, at their core, at their center, who they really are, the true self. Devil is can be like the false self, particularly when it's paired up with this. A false self. You look in the mirror, you see yourself, or you think, somebody does, that they're stuck. Puppeted, maybe manipulated by some situation or some neediness or some unhealthy attachment. Under 9 of Pentacles, a card of the individual that's self-sufficient, not in any kind of codependent situation, and maybe has fought to free themselves. Under 9 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. This can be a card of options. You know, which connection? What's the most important thing for me to feel? Somebody's considering perhaps a relationship that held them back. Maybe what's the takeaway? What's the important thing to feel? I mean, we don't want to feel this. We don't want to think badly of ourselves. So maybe it's choosing another connection, another option. This is codependent. So I like the idea that this is another possibility, another way of loving. Everybody we've ever loved or tried to love. Everybody who's ever loved us or tried to love us. And maybe somehow we were both ensnared in some kind of obsessive, this is a card of passion, obsession, where love transforms into something that we can't let go or that can't let us go. Three of Pentacles, also in the members reading. Earth energy in cooperation with other people. How do I choose a connection that's like this? Working together in 3D to create something, to weave something together. There's an option for that, moving away from this. Working hard to get disentangled. And there's something about the entanglement here. Those cords that wrap this person up. And the puppet strings entanglement. And this creative, cooperative weave. It's like repurposing the connection. Tell us about Devil, please. What's the deal? What's the deal, Devil? Knight of Pentacles. Moving on. And I get the feeling, because this is right on a card of possibly of addiction, of feeling totally dependent on something else, for your happiness or your life or your... And here's the card of the person who can stand alone outside the addiction because they've worked hard to get away from it. And getting away by looking at it, taking a long, hard look at shadow. How did I land in this place? It's kind of the moral inventory that they talk about in the 12-step program. A fearless moral inventory. Because this is going step by step by step. One day at a time. Pentacles speak to time. One moment at a time. One move at a time. One iteration of yourself at a time. Slowly but surely. Away from that codependent, held back place. Into self-sufficiency. And on Three of Pentacles, Hierophant. I love that. Card of Taurus. We're in Taurus season now, I believe. Just on the cusp of it, maybe. Is a card of higher power, of ascendance. Who do you draw on? To go step by step by step out of an addiction or a codependency on a substance or another person. Something that ties you up, that makes you think you're stuck, that you can't live without whatever it is. And here you are in Pentacles energy, life energy. You or somebody else standing on their own 2 feet, moving step by step, slowly but surely. And see the steps? you know. And it's ascending into joy. This is not joy. It's hard work, but it's shadow energy. It can be dark and heavy and fearful. Bound up in some kind of frame of reference or way of stinking thinking kind of idea. Moving away from that. And whereas devil is controlling, and are the ties that bind in Eight of Swords, in this depiction, the guy isn't even holding the reins. It's not like yanking on the horse. It's moving forward slowly but surely and trusting that it'll get you there. You can let go of the reins. Okay, let's see about Eight of Swords, the mental trap. Ace of Wands, inspirational new beginning, the creative fire. Third eye activation, the ability to see in the dark. To light the path. Step by step, step by step. This is something new happening to this individual. For some reason, I don't get the idea that it's you, but it might be. Again, it's a card that speaks to the eye. I think this is you. And it might be that you, in some way, represent to this person the possibility. Aces speak to a possibility or opportunity to see a different path, a different way forward, a way out of Eight of Swords trap, one step at a time. You might be a teacher. You're certainly setting an example for somebody. Hierophant can be a card of the teacher, of the spiritual path, step by step by step, ascending, moving forward in 3D and in the deepest level of the psyche. And it's almost like this person's able to see or understand a way out. The opportunity for that spark, that first ignition. And instead of this kind of brain action, which we can get trapped in, it's third eye activation action. It's intuitive. It's being able to see. Hold the vision. Tell us about Star, the healing light, the guides, everyone who's ever loved us or tried to love us. The whole spirit team, the concentric rings going out. What's the healing, please? Oh, I love it. Picking a path, a decision to move forward. It's still in the planning stage in Wands energy, the Ace to the 2. I see it in my mind's eye. I suddenly have this creative spark. This person sees a way out of the cage. And they're going to move on it. Envision it, do it. There's a portal that's opening up, a portal out of the cage. It has to do with creativity. That reminds me, I was thinking this morning, we have Empress on the board too, and I think that goes under 7 of Cups. Yeah, on 7 of Cups. A card of creativity. of bringing into 3D life something, look, pregnancy, fertility, growth, abundance, creativity. That's one of the options here. In Earth energy, Taurus, Libra, in that Taurus aspect, one day at a time. I was, sitting in this mini meditation that I do in the morning. Like I have one cup of coffee. Before I have the second cup of coffee, I just try to get settled and see what comes up. And as it comes up, let it come up. This morning, things came up and I started to cry. And I was able to release that emotion too. To feel it and release it. Feel it and release it. One of the images that came up, my mother, we moved. It was from my childhood home. It was an empty nest syndrome. Most of the kids had left home, and home had been a farm, very pastoral, lovely, outside of DC, place where we'd all grown up. And we moved. And it was hard on all of us. It was hardest, I think, on my mother, who just did everything there, including, it was a horse farm. She said she worked with the horses in part because it was like a biofeedback machine. I can't remember what that's called, but in any case, if she was uptight or crazy around the horse would know it and would get all crazy too. So she had to stay calm, Couldn't go into fear mode, couldn't go into crazy place, had to stay calm and peaceful and grounded. When we moved into the city, Mom's artistic work came back online. She hadn't painted for many years. I mean, she did little sketches, but she once we were away from home, essentially, she delved back into painting in a big way. And she had a studio in the new house in DC. But she'd paint, like she did a painting of the garden in DC, little tiny garden, little city garden, versus 20 acres that we'd had in the countryside. And every painting, including this one, really notably, painted the whole garden, and there was one tree that she had planted in this new garden, and in her painting, it was blank. It was defined by negative space. Everything around it, other trees and the grass and the shadows and the sunlight through the shadows. But the tree itself was just white canvas. She didn't fill it in. So there's something about the empty space. And moving slowly but surely back into your own life. A representation, that mirror image of an empty space, of thinking you're stuck, of perhaps thinking you have nothing to offer. And then there's this creative spark. Mom got back to the place where she could paint the whole painting. The empty space that was in her, inside her longing, inside her psyche, that felt homeless. Over time, Pentacles energy became grounded again. I think somebody, through their creativity, by accessing the portal that leads to a connection with the divine, you're co-creating with your spirit team. You're electing the option not only of love, Seven of Cups, but of Venus itself, Venus herself. The principle of love, the mother of us all. Home is everywhere. Anywhere you invest, anywhere you are grounded, anywhere you grow things, anywhere you keep growing, it's back to the garden time. On Nine of Pentacles, Justice, Libra, Taurus, coming back into balance, equilibrium, in sword energy, out of the cage. The deepest core self knows how to recalibrate. Devil card is a card of extremes. Extreme emotions, obsession, passion that's off the rails, that depletes you rather than fills you. Depletes, leaves that empty place in the canvas. This is coming back into balance, and it's in relationships. As these two things relate to each other, there's equilibrium, not extremes. There's clarity, not obsession. It's a truth, justice, about oneself, Nine of Pentacles. And who am I? Who is the I here? The creative opportunity, the potential, that spark of life. Are we done? This one? Had that in the first reading. Spark of life, that's fire energy. That's revving up. I'm getting an image of, I don't know if you had these, but Halloween we used to have a little thing that had a wheel, and you'd push the plunger thing, and the wheel would spin and sparks would go out. It was a little friction thing that would generate sparks. The little wheel, the friction thing that generates light. The new path. So we have Page of Wands, Ace of Wands, Two of Wands. A lot of it's reigniting something, like reigniting creativity. Empress status, divine feminine energy of giving birth to something. Hierophant, Taurus energy of higher power and ascension, step by step by step. You don't, it doesn't come out whole cloth. When we're in 3D and we're creative, it comes out in stages. You have to, if you're a sculptor, you build it up. On that, whatever you call it, the armature, or where you sculpt it out of wood, that negative space like the tree. This is a new way. This is a new path. Seven of Swords. I think it's because Seven of Swords can be a deception, a sneak energy, but I also think it's an energy of leaving by any means necessary, like not talking about it. Like if you're in a codependent or abusive or, situation where somebody's manipulating you or holding you back, you go step by step by step. And it might entail some strategizing, some planning, and not speaking about it. It's something like you don't want to give it away. This knife that this guy is holding, I think, is to cut those Seven of Swords to Eight of Swords, to cut those ties that bind. It's like using a splinter to remove a splinter, something like that, to cut yourself free. Free of sadness. This was also in the last reading. Of emotions that deplete. Of a way of thinking that keeps you trapped. It could be self-deception. It's dwelling in loss. Equally, somebody might have skipped on you without an explanation. It left you feeling bad about yourself, thinking you're trapped. You know, they left and I can't leave. But you can leave, and you're in the planning stage of doing just that. You have more power than you know. I mean, you really do. You're coming into your power. Divine Feminine. On the board we have... Oh, I neglected that was just sitting there. I don't know where he came from. King of Cups. Five of Cups. I think you're on a path away from somebody who made you sad and may have deceived you into the arms of somebody who is full of love. Their heart is big. It's all inclusive. That's their strong suit. They're able to participate in a relationship that's equal. These emotions are given and received. Everybody you ever loved or tried to love. Everybody who's ever loved you or tried to love you. And this is somebody who would do just that. Let you love them. Try to love you back in a reciprocal way. They're drawn to Empress. Okay, on the board, as I was saying, we have Taurus Libra in Empress, and Taurus Libra again in Hierophant and the Justice card. Aquarius in the star, the spirit team that'll guide you there. They're, inspiring you right now, showing you the way, Wands energy, the portal that you can enter, the new path. Okay, my friends, that's it. And I feel like I was a little scattered. It's been a weird day, but I hope this finds you well. And I love you, and I'll see you next time.